This is TWiT.
This is the newest, Walkaway, and because it's literally just came out, I mean, I think it comes out tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yeah.
We just got it yesterday, and so I haven't read very far. So first of all, I tell everybody, don't worry about spoilers. I don't know nothing.
Right.
But I love the start. In fact, the first sentence reminds me a little bit of your daughter, because the character in the beginning is Hubert, Vernon, Rudolph, Clayton, Irving, Wilson, Alva, Anton, Jeff, Harley, Timothy, Curtis, Cleveland, Cecil, Ollie, Edmund, Eli, Wiley, Marvin, Ellis, Espinoza, henceforth referred to as Hubert, etc. Apparently, his parents used the top 20 names from the 1890 census to name him. Your daughter's name, if you don't, do you mind me saying it? It's on Wikipedia.
No,
I guess it's not a secret. Your daughter's name, not quite so elaborate. Posey, Emmeline, Fibonacci, Nautilus, Taylor, Doctorow.
Yeah.
So was that, maybe that was a little bit of the inspiration for Hubert?
A little bit, yeah. I always figure middle names are things you get for free, right? So I love the idea of hiding a lot of interesting stuff in the middle names. It's like header stuffing for people. And you know, when we were naming her, we had a lot of different ideas about what we could name her, and we ended up just going with like our top 5. And so, yeah, the joke about Hubert is that his parents were members of the Anonymous Party, and then they became disaffected with it and left it when it adopted a real names policy. And so they gave him all these names as an active political protest at the Anonymous Party's calumny and cowardice and lack of adherence to its principles. And that's you know, meant to be funny, haha, but it's also meant to be like haha, only serious, because there is this element in the book. A lot of it is about what happens when people who have very strong political beliefs start to compromise on them, and how compromise can slide you from, you know, don't be evil to surveillance capitalism in a bunch of very small steps that you don't even notice you're taking until one day you turn around and, you know, you're letting the NSA put a Prism server in your data center. A lot of
the names in this book are fantastic. And fantastical, like Limpopo and Gizmo von Puddle Ducks, and on and on and on. Does that relate to this whole subject of you know, an ice weasel, which is of course a tip of the hat to Debian? Is there a reason the names are so interesting here? What's going on?
Well, yeah, so these are folks who are engaged in this kind of utopian project that's maybe you could think of it as being built along the lines of Barlow's Declaration of Independence of Cyberspace, where they are walking away from mainstream society, walking away from a world where there isn't much place for like normal people anymore, because the 1% has all the robots it needs and has enough idle workers around to keep those few people who are needed to keep the robots running on their toes, because they could be replaced. And the rest of us are kind of surplus to requirements, and they wander off in this disaffected way to build this utopian parallel world. And, you know, when you think about the history of utopian parallel worlds, there's a lot of reinvention. People tend to take on new names. You know, I'm sure if I was to log into your IRC right now, it would be full of people with handles.
Absolutely.
And not so many real names.
Absolutely.
And, you know, that ability to like decide who you are, it's really key to a lot of people engaged in audacious things. You know, there's this thing that happens whenever we think about the people who are, you know, loom large in our history, and we look at them, and it turns out that not only did they do this unusual and amazing thing in, you know, leading the March on Selma, or you know, inventing an amazing technology, they also have lots of other things that are atypical, some of which may not be so great, and some of which turn out to also be amazing considered separately. And I don't know, I mean, I'm not trying to say that we should just let great people get a walk when they're, you know, jerks, but I do think the fact that people who are grandiose enough to want to do something world-changing also are full of other weird ideas, that's not a coincidence, that it's weird enough to say, oh yeah, the world is screwed up, so I'm going to make a better one, that we shouldn't be surprised when people who do that also have other things that are atypical about them.